What's up, team? Welcome to Inside SSP, episode 4.
4.
Ray.
Is it 4? Wow.
Yeah, we got it. Chris.
Allie.
Natalie here.
Ooh, we're getting way better at this.
Oh, we are.
We're
finally
better.
stressed about
that one.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, how are we doing? It's 1 to 10. Natalie, you first.
I mean, like 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty good.
That's
good. Feeling good.
I mean, 7.
Yeah?
7.
That's better than the last couple of days.
It's been rough.
I've asked you in class and it's been rough.
It's been 6. So, I'm taking moment by about 7.
You know what I am today?
What?
Oh, 10, because you're here.
You can hear now.
I'm a 10. If anybody's trained me this week, I have not been able to hear shit out of my left ear. And it's been worse when class starts. Like, I started the 6 a.m. class and I'm like, all of a sudden I've gone fucking deaf in my left ear. I swear. And it's so disorienting.
I'm not laughing at you.
So disorienting. And then at 9, I had both Tyler, who's a new coach, and Danny, who will be a new coach, is interning for us right now, both watching class, and they were just chatting on the side. And as I walked past them, all I could hear was like a little chatter. I didn't understand the word that they were saying.
You better not be talking shit over there.
That's pretty much what I said. Yeah, that's pretty much what I said. So.
Good.
Anyways, great day. Great day.
Yeah.
It's kind of sunny outside.
I'm excited about today's topic.
You tell us what today's topic's are.
I think I feel passionately about it. I think all of us do. Well, we're talking about 2 different things today.
Okay.
Do you want me to start with one?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about recovery first. Because I feel like there's a lot of misunderstanding and misconceptions and about what recovery means and what's actually useful for recovery and just like how to properly recover from your workouts. Because I mean, at SSP we operate at a pretty high intensity, right? Like we push pretty hard in our workouts, and so it's really important not only for just general well-being, but things like injury prevention and continuing to make progress and getting stronger, that all of our members and our friends are recovering properly after their workouts.
Totally agree. Where do we want to start?
I think, well, okay, so the real reason we want to talk about this is because, we've had some conversations with members about these kinds of things, and we've had some like sort of injury situations pop up, and it's just been on the forefront of our brain, and we think that it's something that we need to talk about more as like a group.
Yeah.
And there's obviously a lot of elements to recovery. For me, the biggest thing, and then I'll let you guys talk about whatever you're passionate about in recovery, is sleep and getting enough sleep. Because that's really the time that our bodies get to reset and rebuild after a workout. You don't build muscle during a workout, you build muscle after, and you build muscle while you're sleeping. It gives your nervous system a chance to reset, and if you're not getting those kind of deep sleep cycles and good sleep and adequate time of sleep, your body's just constantly in this like fight or flight mode, and then it has no extra like bandwidth to build muscle or get stronger or get more fit, because it's just trying to keep you alive.
Or burn fat.
Or burn fat, exactly, or any of these goals that our members have. And I come from a very privileged place on the sleep perspective. I have no children. I'm not married, all of these things. So for me, it's pretty easy to get my like 8-9 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
But I think those of us that think that, I really only need 4 hours and I do okay, are like kidding ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was me in college, big time. I was like, I operate fine on like 4 or 5 hours of sleep. I was not fine.
I think everybody thinks that.
Everybody, it's,
Exactly, yeah.
You're busy.
And it's like not glamorous, and it doesn't get talked about enough because I can't sell it to you, right? The fitness industry is not going to talk about it because I can't make money off of you sleeping. I mean, maybe I can, but like, it's not glamorous or expensive or anything else.
Yeah.
Just making an effort to have more sleep and also consistent sleep and wake times is huge. That's one of the things that my Whoop taught me back when I was wearing that, is that like going to sleep and waking up at the same time, like that circadian rhythm is huge.
Even on the weekends.
Even on the weekends, even when I sometimes work at 9 a.m. and sometimes work at 1 p.m. Trying to like sleep and wake up at about the same time is really big.
Yeah, and I think it, sleep, I totally agree, sleep is hugely important. And I think the other thing is, you know, like with fitness and a lot of things that we talk about, there's a general guideline out there about 7-8 hours of sleep, right? But everybody's a little bit different. So you have to kind of experiment with what level of sleep helps you feel the most rested. You know, like I've talked to some people who are like, you know, 6.5 is like perfect for me, you know? It seems like that's too little when I take a look at it, but if they feel like they're operating well off 6.5 hours of sleep, then I'm like, okay, you know, that is what it is. Some people need like 9 or 10, right? So I think you just gotta feel it out.
Yeah. I think the point is, if you feel like you're not recovering, if you feel like you're always getting injured, or you're in like a weight loss plateau or a strength plateau or whatever, it's something to look at.
Yeah,
And
totally.
not saying everybody needs 8 or 9, but it may be that you need more.
Yeah.
And more for you could be 6.5, more for you could be 7. But just that it plays a much bigger part than we give it credit for.
Yeah.
This might be a tangent, but I've been playing with sleep a lot. I think it's called Sleep Cycle app. I don't wear a Whoop, but you plug it in next to your bed and it will record your snoring, talking, sneezing, whatever. I cough a lot in my sleep, I guess. But I always thought that I needed 9 hours. I think I've told you guys that. I need 9 or 10 hours. And then since I've been using that and then waking up early, right, to work out, 6.5 and 7 is apparently perfect for me. And I just thought that was crazy because I thought I needed 9 forever.
Yeah.
And 6.5 and 7 is perfect. Anytime my app says I sleep 8.5 or 9, I feel groggy as hell the entire day. I don't get a workout in, like, so it's just something to play around with, right?
Totally. And I think there are some other things too, like depending on your quality of sleep, of sleep matters a lot, right? And,
Right.
Yeah.
I go to bed pretty early, as a lot of people know, because I
8:30.
wake up at 3 or 3:30 in the morning. And so by 8:30 I need to be out, right? I get pretty grumpy if my family's keeping me up until 8:30. But I invested in a face mask.
Ooh, like a weighted one?
Not a weighted one, but just like one that really covers everything.
Yeah.
So if I put it on and blacks it out,
Yeah.
that makes such a huge difference.
Of course.
In my sleep. Because now at 8:30 sometimes it's not completely dark.
I went to bed
right?
last night and it was still light out.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, I can't. It was
So-
8 o'clock.
So that matters a lot. The other thing that matters to me, I've noticed, is temperature.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like if I get too hot, it'll just wake me up.
Yep.
And make me uncomfortable. So I actually put a fan on a very light setting
Yeah.
that's always blowing on me. It makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
So
Or get a cooling comforter.
yeah, there you go.
That
Yeah, there's all kinds
Yeah.
of fun gadgets out
That's
there.
They call it like sleep hygiene in
Yeah.
the research.
Yeah,
Is the right word.
Yeah,
And it's things like we're talking about the temperature, the darkness, the consistency of your schedule, how you wind down at
Yeah.
night, screens, which I am so bad at. It's not even funny.
Mhm.
Oh,
Everybody knows I'm on TikTok and Instagram until the second I roll over and go to
oh
bed.
no.
And it's
yeah.
my worst habit. And what was the other thing?
Tangent on that. I've talked to so many people who use TikTok as a way to wind down.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
they look at TikTok for 30 minutes before they go to bed.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
I find it's crazy.
Yeah. I do too, but
Like, what? Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
I can't defend myself on that. It's bad. There was something else I was gonna say about sleep hygiene.
what about melatonin?
Oh, caffeine.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Cutting, and this is one that I see a lot,
Mhm.
is cutting off caffeine at a certain time.
Yeah.
So caffeine has a 5-hour
11 a.m.
half-life in your body, if you didn't know, generally speaking. Some people are gonna metabolize it a little quicker than others.
Yeah.
But that means if you're going to bed at 8:30,
Yeah.
no caffeine after 3:30.
I'm terrible at this.
Oh, he
I
still
know.
does.
Absolutely awful.
I've seen you
Yeah.
do a lot, yeah.
And it develops this vicious cycle
Let me see.
of, oh, I'm tired because I'm not sleeping well, so then I'm doing more caffeine, and then I'm drinking caffeine at 5 p.m., but then I can't go to sleep, so then I don't sleep, so then I'm tired the next day, so
Yep.
then I
Totally right.
bunch of caffeine, and it's kind of crazy. And cutting that cycle is really hard.
Yeah.
For sure, and it's something that I'm bad about. But I give myself a 4 p.m. cutoff where I'm like, that's it.
Yeah.
No sips of caffeine after 4 p.m.
My
So it's
What
just
time do
another
you-
thing
what
to
time do you
look
go to
at.
Yeah, what time do you go to bed?
I feel like 9:30.
bed? Okay.
My cutoff is 11 a.m.
That's great.
That's
I wish
impressive.
Because
I
I do if I
There's
drink
no
at noon.
freaking way I can do that.
I have like 8 ounces a day.
Well, a lot of times I only have one caffeine drink in the
Yeah.
morning, and then I'm okay. Especially because I start later, so like today I didn't have my coffee till like 10:30.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I don't,
Why
know.
I was
wasn't
done
you
by
know-
8.
I don't have coffee by like 6
I
a.m.
was done, yeah.
There's something wrong.
Well, I was dead
But she's
asleep
not
at 6
awake
a.m.
at 6.
I know, I'm just saying, like for me, that's crazy.
I
Everybody's
work.
different.
I'm still working when you go to bed.
I know, I understand. I do want to say one thing
Yeah.
about sleep, because I think the thing that I find that affects my recovery more than anything else is stress.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are weeks that are very stressful, even if I'm getting my normal amount of sleep, I'm not recovered by any means
Yeah.
because of the kind of mental and physical toll that stress takes on you.
Mhm.
And I think people underestimate that entirely. I remember the week that you had COVID, not to call you out,
I know.
was a stressful week for all of us, right?
Yeah.
Totally not your fault at all, but I went in for my normal workout on like a Friday morning. I remember doing a 3-point row, something I do every week, and like I was like doing a weight that was way less than I normally do. Like I scaled it way back because I knew I was pretty tired, and my heart rate spiked up to like 165,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, whew, not recovered at all, right? But it was just because of the toll that the stress of that week took on me.
Right.
And so I think, and I see that a lot with members is sometimes they can identify, why am I so tired this week? Or like, what's going on? And a lot of times I think it's stress. And the toll that stress takes on your body, which you can't really, quantify.
Mhm.
Right.
So, yeah.
And we told this line for those of us who use exercise as a stress management tool
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
because when we have our, I would say like low level, normal levels of stress, and it's just the stress of being a human being. Exercise can be a great tool to help manage that stress. It can be a great outlet, all these things. But when your stress is super high,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, no matter what, exercise and working out is stress
That's
on
right.
your body and
Yeah.
on your system. And so whether you realize it or not, maybe in the moment it makes you feel
Mhm.
quote, air quotes better. It's like a tough line to toe as far as like when you're highly emotionally stressed,
Yeah.
is exercise gonna make you feel better or worse? And I think it's different for everybody, but it is important to know what you said.
Yeah.
We underestimate the physical toll that emotional and psychological stress takes on our bodies.
Totally. And I think in those weeks, moving actually does make me feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there's a difference between movement and training,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna like make huge strength gains, which I know during those weeks, but certainly like just moving around a little bit, doing some basic movement patterns, lifting a few weights here and there, like that makes me feel better.
Right.
Psychologically, right?
Yeah.
So I think you have to delineate between the two, like when you're having these weeks, just kind of judge for yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna pull Allie in here because I think, especially on those weeks where the emotional and like psychological stress is really high, one of our biggest recovery tools is nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So what does that look like? Like what is in your opinion, like the most important things to focus on? Like when you feel like you're not recovering from workouts, maybe like you're sore all the time, or like some common things that you see with people as far as like nutrition goes.
I feel like I get this question a lot too. This is not really answering what you just asked,
Okay.
but people ask all the time, oh, should I just cut carbs? Should I just cut carbs? I'm not losing weight and I'm in the gym and I'm working out however many days a week, and you all know my answer is absolutely not. Because that helps you recover too. But it's looking at protein, first of all, right? And if your muscles are this sore all the time, we have to look at how many days you're in the gym training too. We have to scale that back a little bit. Mindful movement, joyful movement, things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about overtraining.
That's
in one
what,
day,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which I think is linked to recovery, but I also think you especially people who are new in the gym, and they start coming 5, 6, 7 days a week because they're excited about it, right? In those first couple of weeks they start training, and then all of a sudden they hit some kind of wall or plateau, right? Not even in a strength gain perspective, but in a like feeling perspective,
Right.
right?
Energy level, motivation.
Exactly, and then people don't know how to diagnose that, and they feel like, oh man, I just don't want to go to the gym anymore, right? It's because you're training too much, and so you have to kind of understand the level of training and the amount of training that's going to work for you, and that's always an experiment for everybody, right? I mean, there's general guidelines out there where I would say like 3 to 4 times, if you're doing strength training 3 to 4 times a week, that's probably great. You know, like that works for me, that works for a lot of people. I know some people that can do 5 or 6 and feel great too, you know?
Right.
So it depends on the individual, but I think that is something to take into account as well.
And I think with newer people to the gym especially, I'm never going to tell somebody that the things aren't possible, right? Like I know there's somebody that I follow on social media and look up to who runs ultramarathons, does CrossFit, and is getting her PhD. You know what? She eats so much food. She crushes sleep. She crushes hydration.
Yeah.
So literally I said to somebody the other day, I was like, a well-fueled and well-rested body is capable of so much.
Yeah.
But what we do is we continue to add workouts, add runs, add this, and then we cut calories, cut sleep in order to fit the things. And it's just, eventually you're gonna hit the bottom of that pit, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And so when we start exercising, add in the strength training, whatever, we have to be mindful of like supporting that and supporting that by eating adequate amounts of food. And whether you're somebody that tracks your food or not, just being aware of like general nutrition around strength training, like making sure that you're including protein at most of your meals, getting in carbohydrates, making sure you're getting enough sleep, getting enough hydration, like all these kinds of things, to avoid hitting that wall. I love when people ask these questions in assessments because then we can kind of get in front of it a little bit. And some people do kind of already have these habits in place, which is great. But I think that's the main thing is like people want to lose weight, gain muscle, whatever. And so they add exercise and they cut food at the same time. And then inevitably 4 weeks down the road, they feel terrible. They're not sleeping. They're stressed out because of life being life and the pandemic and everything. And they just feel terrible when you're kind of just pulling from an empty tank at that point. And that's how you get sick. That's how you get injured. All these things. And I don't know if you want to talk about this, but I think that's what happened when I got sick. Because at some point, like at this point, we all have some level of immunity to this thing, right? Like we're all vaccinated. We've all been exposed to some level. But what had happened is I'm training really hard for my powerlifting. I'm 4 weeks out, and you guys aren't gonna like this, but I drank over the weekend. And one of the worst things, and I know this, one of the worst things you can do for your recovery is consume alcohol. Like pretty top of the list. From somebody who still drinks, but like, and from somebody who has a great time at happy hours and everything else. But we can't front like that doesn't impact our immunity and our
100%.
muscles and
100%.
all of these things. There's so much data that shows that like consuming alcohol right after a strength session can just absolutely obliterate any chance of building that muscle back.
Well, I think on the nutrition side too, and I'm sure you hear this, Allie, like I always hear from a lot of people that they'll start strength training and they're like, I don't feel very good, or I have low energy this week. And you're like, well, what's changed? And I'm like, well, I just started intermittent fasting, or I just started keto. You know, or they're playing with the
keto a lot anymore,
but they're not.
That's good.
What I find is sometimes even when they do that, and there's a direct correlation between the diet that they started and how they're feeling, they don't link the two. It's like the nutrition change can't be the reason that I don't feel good, right? Which I always find kind of baffling. I don't know. Did you hear that, or you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I could talk for 2 hours about that, but I don't hear that
Okay.
lately because we don't talk about intermittent fasting. We don't talk about keto, right? It's mostly just hitting the macros. Right.
And I'm more meaning in the terms of like people that aren't in our nutrition program that train and then they come and they're like, oh, I just started keto, or I just started intermittent fasting.
Right.
It's like, well, that affects how your body is reacting to the adaptations you're trying to drive it in, right?
We're all just so, as a society, like disconnected from our bodies, and says the girl who scrolls on TikTok for 30 minutes before bed. Like, I think it has to do a lot with technology. It has to do a lot with, like, the fitness industry has sold us this, like, just listen to me and, like, I'll solve your problems, instead of teaching us to, like, tune into ourselves and, like, how we're feeling. We were talking about this with mind muscle connection earlier. Like, when we ask clients, like, what muscles are you feeling? We're like, I don't know. And so learning to, like, reconnect with how you're feeling and how certain things make you feel can really help you figure out. It's like, listen to your body, but it is like because like we've said, things work differently for different people. And until you can sort of reconnect with your own responses and like noticing, hey, I'm feeling really low energy, and not being mad at yourself for feeling low energy, but getting curious about it. Why am I feeling so low energy?
It's a great way to put it.
Oh, you know what? I didn't have any carbs with my breakfast this morning. That's why. Or I actually didn't sleep well over the weekend, or whatever. And then taking the steps to like help yourself recover. You know, making sure that you get in like well-rounded meals the rest of the day, going to bed a little bit earlier, whatever. And like having that sort of self-regulation is hard,
and I think
but really important.
A willingness to experiment, right, and be in that mode, I think is powerful.
Yeah.
So,
because as much as there's like guidelines, right, to all of this stuff, there's no like hard and fast rules.
No.
And you get to pick and choose like what works for you and what doesn't. So
I feel like going back to talking about stress and having people are so stressed out and then want to add more things and then take things away. We do that a lot in LN where I have many, I mean, our people are busy, they're working full-time parents, right? A lot of them are in Zooms back to back to back all day. And so we're just trying to like eat in the middle of the day, set alarms for food, things like that. And sometimes, I mean, all the time, I like people to track their food, at least when they first start with LN, just to see, are you getting enough protein? Are you getting enough calories? Most of the time it's not, we all know this. And sometimes I'll ask, okay, are you willing to track food? But if that's gonna be more of a stress for you, I don't have them do it right away. It's exactly what you said, it's just balanced meals. So let's get carbs and protein, right? Fat, like balanced meals, and we can talk about what that looks like. But if you at the end of the day are sitting on the couch stressed out, trying to log this food for me, no. Like just eat out, like we'll work through this. But if it's gonna be more of a stress, and like you said, you gotta listen to yourself, and you have to ask yourself, is that gonna make me more stressed out? Well then, let's cut that, because the recovery is not gonna be great.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's like one of the benefits of working with somebody. I mean, you guys know I have a powerlifting coach, and even before I was competitively powerlifting, I had a coach, because sometimes you just need that outside perspective. And as much as I've gotten better at figuring out what works for me, and being willing to experiment, and you know, letting go of certain things that don't work for me, like having that outside perspective of a person that's kind of educated in the field and knows what they're doing can be a huge thing. I think you do a great job of that with LN, just like causing people to dig deeper into those questions and like, okay, why do you think you need to do this? Or like, how does that actually make you feel? Despite you think you should. How do you feel when you do that? And sometimes the answer is not very good. And then we say, okay, great, let's not do that. You're like, I can be fit and not do that. And I'm like, correct.
Or very mindful of like past eating disorders. This is going to trigger something, then don't do it. Things like that.
Well, I think the same principles apply to how we program for people and what exercises we do for people, right? Too. It's like, you know, in our heads, you know, we each have people that we work with, and we know there's a good like 25, 30 exercises that are going to be great for that person, right? Sometimes less. But then we also know there's a number of exercises that won't be good for that person for a number of reasons, right? Either it's not good for them because they don't like it, or they can't feel their muscles, or whatever. And so I think it all comes down to, it depends.
Right.
Right? At the end of the day, nutrition, recovery, fitness, it's individualized, you have to experiment, and it depends on the individual.
And I think the last piece of this recovery conversation, and we are not going to have time to talk about the other thing.
We're gonna talk
That'll be episode 5.
That's great.
Is the things that get sold to people as like recovery tools. And I think we need to cover that quickly here at the end.
Yeah.
Things like the Theragun and the cold plunge and the all of these like other tools. And I'll give my take and then let you guys. Those are like the sprinkles on the frosting on the cake, in my opinion. They're fun, and if they make you feel better, if they make you like that cake more, and you have the money to spend on the sprinkles, go for it. Like if that genuinely makes you feel good. But at the end of the day, if your cake is shitty, the sprinkles aren't gonna fix it. And the sleep and the nutrition and the managing load and managing volume are the cake. And I think, but the way these things get marketed is like, are you sore all the time? Spend $500 on this therapy.
It's like,
You'll never be sore ever again. And you're like,
Cryotherapy and the sauna and the
no.
Yeah.
no.
Cryo.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. We don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on it.
Or like, and the thing is like, there is some science to these things for sure.
Of course.
And the foam rolling and all of that, but
to make people
I
think
don't
that
know if
they
you guys
need that when you're not getting proper sleep and nutrition and not overtraining, first of all,
Building blocks.
building blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. I've never done cryo. You guys done cryo?
No.
I've never done cryo. I've done the like leg compression sleeve thingies.
Like
I
the
forget
Nordic
what they're
type
called.
thing?
Yeah, Nordic
yeah,
type.
yeah.
I've done that. I've done a cold plunge. My cousin's husband actually is like one of the top cold plunge. He like started a cold plunge company and sells them. He put one in Tony Hawk's house.
Mm.
It's like their whole thing. It's pretty cool. They're very into it. We can have him as a guest on the podcast.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is the other thing that these companies do, and this is Natalie's one little soapbox about the fitness industry, is they get really high level athletes to sponsor their products. And then what these athletes do is they come forward and they say, I'm fit because I used, they make it seem like, whether they say it directly or not, my success and my fitness is because I used this product.
Yeah.
When, if you scroll back on their Instagram,
They
a
weren't
couple of
using it.
years, they were just as fit and just as successful.
Yeah.
And not using
Lies.
that product.
Lies, Natalie.
Yeah.
And I just want you guys to not spend your money if you don't want to.
One very like easy and free thing that I think people can do, especially from a stress perspective, which I started doing the last couple of years, is just breathe.
Same.
You know, like
I want
and
to
so
start
one-
putting it at the end of my classes. I've been meaning to talk to you
yeah.
about
I mean,
this.
like once you kind of understand the
Parasympathetic,
sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous, you're like, okay, just sit down, lay on your back or whatever on your bed, and just focus on breathing. You know, focus in on breathing through the nose 4 seconds, out through the mouth
Fill
for
up the
8
belly.
seconds, fill up the rib cage, and if you do that 7 or 8 times, you will naturally start to feel a relaxation in your body.
And I guarantee if you're an emotional person, you'll probably cry. I do a lot.
You could,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh, I have to breathe all day. It feels so good.
But I used to do it when I did the mobility and recovery class on Sundays. I had closed
Yeah.
every class with that.
Mm-hmm.
Just breathing for at least a minute.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
just sat on the ground. I don't know if it was their favorite part of the class, but I know after it, everybody was like sleepy. You know, like they were
Yeah.
like, oh, I feel so good.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just a very simple, free thing that you can do.
Okay.
And if I'm having a stressful week, I will put in headphones, lay down, and just breathe.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, right? So.
And the thing is, like, it sounds too good to be true.
I know.
It sounds too good to be true, and that's why we don't do it. That like just lying on the floor and taking some deep breaths, or like sleeping 8 hours a night,
Yeah.
or like eating breakfast will like change the
Drinking
outcome
water.
of your fitness and honestly change like your life.
Mhm.
But it will.
Yeah.
But it will, and I feel like I've had people say to me before, it's like refreshing to see you guys like emphasize these things that are so simple.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I feel like we're being redundant or just like beating a dead horse. But honestly, everyone else is telling them to, you know, buy all these products and supplements and whatever and everything else.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, take some deep breaths, regulate your nervous system
Yeah.
regularly.
Yeah.
You know, manage your load, figure out ways to manage your stress. Obviously, easier said than done.
Just tune
Eat
in how you
food
feel.
even if you don't feel hungry, because that's my problem is when I'm really stressed, my appetite completely goes away. But I know that that's like something that I self-care wise have to do.
You know, I went through a breakup this week, and food has not been top priority at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so we've talked a lot about
We had a long
that,
chat about it yesterday.
You have to eat.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, hey, we came in trying to get 2 topics in, and we spent
We like
30
to
minutes
talk.
on one topic.
Recovery is that important.
It
So
is.
this doesn't go an hour. We'll just leave it there,
Yeah.
and then we'll hit on our other topic next time.
Yeah.
Which means we have a topic for next time.
Alrighty.
Solid. We won't even tell you what it is. It'll be a
Yeah,
surprise.
it'll be a
Easy peasy. Well, yeah, we hope you guys learned something. Let us know if you have questions.
It was fun.
It
Thank
was
you for
fun.
listening.
Till next time.
Till next time.